Carl Jung once said, "Intuition is perception via the unconscious." Your gut feelings or intuitions are entirely unique to you and can say a lot about who you are as an individual. Carl Jung, a Swiss psychologist, studied the unconscious mind in great detail and provided insights that can help us better understand ourselves and our intuitions. The process of individuation is the most well-known of Jung's theories. The technique of identifying your innermost distinctive qualities, aspirations, objectives, strengths, and shortcomings is known as individuation. The investigation of the unconscious is the most important procedure in this process. The shadow, as defined by Jung, is one aspect of the unconscious. This includes every facet of who you are that you attempt to suppress and ignore. You try to convince yourself that you don't have the qualities you claim to have. These characteristics include, but are not limited to, irrational wrath, envy, greed, pride, sloth, and vanity. However, these characteristics do not go away when they are ignored or suppressed. Instead, they develop and mature in the dark. This leads to unexpected outbursts, emotional outbursts, excessive reactivity to other people, unwelcome thoughts, unjustly placing blame on others, and more. Put differently, they might be the cause of your less favorable gut instincts or intuitions. Your unconscious archetypes are yet another powerful source of intuition. The collective unconscious, a type of unconsciousness that all people share, contains archetypes. According to Jung, some aspects of a person's personality and traits are there from birth and are only waiting to grow. And that explains why people from diverse cultures, eras, and places have so much in common. These are the innate mental patterns that enable us to comprehend and respond to the environment we live in. The carer is an illustration of a Jungian archetype, the natural human tendency to look out for one another. Understanding your gut instincts and how to learn to pay attention to them can help you live a better life, which is made possible by Jung's ideas on the unconscious and archetypes. Therefore, based on Carl Jung's ideas, we will discuss in this video how to pay attention to your instinctual feelings, learn about your archetype and shadow. According to Jungian, intuition is an active and creative process that contributes as much to an object as it subtracts. It is not just perception or vision. Understanding your unconscious, examining your shadow, and practicing individuation are ways to get more familiar with your intuitions. This can be accomplished through self-reflection, meditation, dream and fantasy analysis, impulse analysis, and behavior analysis. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you can, for instance, write down what you recall from your dreams in your dream diary. You can learn a lot about your thoughts and feelings before you go to sleep from your dreams, including your anxieties, desires, fantasies, and worries. Your shadow, and consequently, your intuitions may be impacted if you discover that you carry a lot of worry. For example, you might suddenly feel the need to mask your fears by acting more strongly than you actually are. Simply reflecting on how you felt, behaved, and made decisions on any given day is another common yet highly successful method of developing your intuition. Ask yourself questions like, why did I make that decision? And reflect on your decisions on a regular basis. Did I want to do something else instead? Or how was I feeling at the moment? Reflection can be done on a regular basis or whenever you have free time. You can accomplish this simply by thinking about it, or even better, by journaling, writing about it. This is how you look at your shadow. The process of getting to know your shadow is challenging and never-ending, but it is also quite gratifying. You may identify what motivates you and, consequently, what shapes your intuitions when you are aware of what you are suppressing. The communal archetypes are another crucial aspect of the unconscious that shapes your gut feelings. Determining which archetypes you possess inside oneself is essential. The following are some instances of archetypes and the kinds of intuitions that these individuals experience. The protagonist. The hero is a valiant warrior who thinks that anything is possible if one works or tries hard enough. Their instincts would be based on obstinacy, confidence in their own skills, and possibly even conceit. The caregiver. This archetype virtually puts the needs of others above its own. Your instinct is to put the needs of others before your own, and they frequently have an innate desire to say yes. The creator is an extremely creative and artistic person. They frequently have creative intuitions, but not in a negative sense. They possess the ability to swiftly come up with the most original answer to an issue. This kind of individual disregards limits and enjoys creating their own rules. They frequently have severe, damaging, and extreme intuitions. The deceiver. As a joker, the trickster primarily seeks enjoyment and a good time. When they find themselves in a difficult situation, their natural reaction is to joke, bargain, and toy with the circumstances. Being honest is very vital to the wise person. They are the kind of person who, before anything else, always tries to find the truth and be honest. The ruler comes last. The ruler is someone who craves control and is most at ease in a leadership role. This desire influences their natural feelings. When given the chance to exert greater influence, they become more vigilant, and their instincts help them advance in their lives, in society, or in their businesses. You can learn a lot about the types of intuitions you often have by researching Jungian archetypes and attempting to identify the ones you most identify with. You will rapidly start to recognize the automatic emotions that arise from this archetype after you have a thorough understanding of yourself and recognize, for instance, that you frequently behave in a caring manner. When you think about it, it's crucial to realize that you can transcend archetypes and transform into new ones. Jung also distinguished two categories of intuition, both introverted and outgoing. Extrovert intuition is concerned with discovering new possibilities, whereas introverted intuition concentrates on logical reasoning and pattern recognition. In order to solve problems or make predictions about the future based on available knowledge, introverted intuition looks within. Extrovert intuition searches beyond the box for concepts and answers, frequently coming up with original ideas with ease. Therefore, you can attempt to determine whether each gut emotion you were able to recognize was introverted or extroverted. What data did it draw from? For instance, if you had a gut feeling that you shouldn't accept a particular offer, it was either because it seemed dubious or because you had heard negative things about the offerer. The offer itself supports the introverted reasoning in the first place, while outside data supports the extroverted reasoning in the second. You may then determine whether your intuitions are more extroverted or introverted and how to take advantage of this. As we'll discuss later, you can also learn how to develop both kinds of intuition. Your unconscious intuitions and personality are always evolving. Your self-analysis must therefore be continuous. You may determine precisely what kinds of intuitions occur in your mind occasionally and where they originate by paying attention to your subconscious, shadow, actions, sensations, and archetypes. You can also analyze all of your instinctual feelings in hindsight. Eliminate the things preventing you from feeling instinctively. Jung believed that until we accept something, we cannot alter it. Condemnation oppresses rather than liberates. You can find yourself unwilling to act even when you are aware of how your instinctive feelings might feel. Action requires more than just acknowledgement. Knowing oneself is only one aspect of individuation. It also entails embracing and incorporating every aspect of who you are in order to form a whole. Because of a particular archetype, you may have found that you have helpful introverted gut instincts, but you may also have contradictory shadow intuitions. It's also possible that you have helpful gut instincts about parts of yourself that you reject and that your archetype blocks. Consider someone who is really self-assured and upbeat, which is fantastic, but only when they let others start taking advantage of them. Perhaps the innocent archetype is to blame for this. Imagine now that this same individual unknowingly suppresses a dread or mistrust that lurks in their shadow. When people treat them poorly, these negative features may serve as a helpful source of correct gut feelings. Therefore, when someone uses them selfishly, they may have a gut hunch based on their shadow features that tells them this is happening. But the innocent archetype's trusting intuitions override this inclination. In other words, your archetype will always block the intuitions from the shadow, regardless of how helpful they may be, if you accept your innocent archetype, but reject its more negative aspects. The contrary is also true. You can never learn to trust or rely on others if you embrace mistrust while ignoring your more compassionate or sympathetic traits. So, how can you make sure that none of your natural emotions are suppressed? Integrating your conscious and subconscious is the path to individuation, according to Jung. You should be able to remain confident and upbeat without being blind or foolish, rather than having two different sides to oneself. Only until you embrace all aspects of who you are will you be able to do this. Naturally, this is far more challenging than it seems. It can be intimidating to know and accept every aspect of who you are. For instance, you probably can't envision accepting the notion that you're a bit of a liar, that you're secretly greedy, or that you're truly a very jealous person. But every negative quality has a favorable counterpart. Anger can make you more forceful and help you advocate for yourself. Envy or selfishness can be ingredients for ambition. Fear and mistrust can keep you safe from harm, and so on. Do you like what you've learned so far? Like the video. Now, tell me in the comments, how do you think you could use your dark traits in a positive way? The shadow served a purpose, even in the scenario when intuitions from an archetype overcame those from the shadow. And furthermore, it's impossible to be completely free of flaws. In actuality, the shadow is only frightening and ineffective when it is not acknowledged and welcomed. The greatest approach to let it assist and benefit you is to accept it. Ask yourself, in what situations have these traits helped me? Rather than denying or fighting the features you'd rather not have. When would they be able to assist me? How can my attributes be balanced? The purpose of your shadow and archetypes is to teach you about yourself, your identity, the reasons behind your characteristics, and how those characteristics may be advantageous. If used properly, all of the shadow and archetype features have the potential to be advantageous. Therefore, ask yourself, consider how to use them appropriately, and never suppress or disregard them. Develop the capacity to trust your intuition. According to Jung, intuition detects the possibilities of things rather than telling you what they signify. It is thought that gives meaning. You can improve your mental acuity and develop the capacity for quicker and more useful intuitions by engaging in daily, weekly, or even monthly exercises. As was previously established, our communal and personal unconscious is the source of our intuitions. Thus, you develop your intuitions by investigating your unconscious in various ways. The following are some exercises that can assist you in developing your introverted intuitions. Make an effort to see your issue from several angles. A character in a film, your future self, someone who thinks extremely differently from you, or anybody else you believe could be helpful. Try to explore your inner world while you meditate. Seeing your thoughts as if you were an outside observer is one of the most crucial parts of meditation. You acknowledge them and then release them. This keeps you from becoming sidetracked or preoccupied with trivial things while allowing you to continue thinking. In this manner, you may ultimately come up with some ideas that appear completely unique and fresh to you, ideas that otherwise would not have occurred to you. Create art. Drawing, creating metaphors in diaries, and sharing stories are all ways to get new insights, according to Carl Jung. Drawing the scenario or creating a dramatized story about an issue can be helpful. This gives you a perspective and a certain distance that may enable you to think about the matter in a whole new way. The following are some exercises that can help you develop your extroverted intuitions. Regularly put oneself in unfamiliar settings. Take on challenges you've never faced before. Speak with folks who are not in your social circles. Additionally, more frequently solicit the opinions of others. You will gain a range of fresh viewpoints and ideas by doing this that you otherwise would not have known. You must expand your thinking in order to expand your horizons. This implies that if you ever need to solve a problem, you'll have a lot more knowledge to draw from. Create art once more. For instance, mind mapping is a great tool for attempting to think creatively. You challenge yourself to load the page with as much information as you can when brainstorming on paper, attempting to use up all of your knowledge. You'll discover that the document tells you more than you ever knew if you try to connect it as much as possible to your current issues. Make a list of ideas, and even if they don't initially seem to go together, try to combine them. Examples of creating novel combinations like this include attempting to make two dissimilar colors appear good together in a drawing, attempting to make two odd components taste well together in a recipe, or attempting to make two different pieces of clothing fit together as an ensemble. However, in addition to this type of daily routine, it can also be beneficial to attempt to integrate different elements of every solution you can think of for a problem, using this as a foundation to develop a completely original answer that is the best of all worlds. Naturally, none of the concepts you generate from these exercises are intuitions or gut instincts. They didn't come to you on their own, after all. Nevertheless, each of these exercises acts as a mental training ground. The more knowledge, insights, and productive thought patterns you possess, the more your mind begins to employ them without conscious awareness. Your intuition might begin to emerge from a different place if you train yourself to think creatively. Jung also suggested writing reflections in a notebook, spending time in nature, and occasionally taking the time to notice your body's feelings. All of these techniques can help you develop your intuitions, improve your thinking, and uncover more of your unconscious. Your intuition will become more helpful the more you practice it. Other things that Jung suggested were journaling, spending time in nature, or occasionally taking the time to notice your body's feelings. All of these techniques can help you develop your intuitions, improve your thinking, and uncover more of your unconscious. Your instincts grow more helpful the more you practice mental exercises. Keep your instincts in check. Jung claims that because intuitive people never wait for the harvest, they are frequently quite impoverished. This is our final remark from him for this video. And lastly, a challenging section. Unhelpful instincts will always exist. This was covered previously when we described how more negative instincts might obstruct pleasant gut feelings. However, there are instances when we simply follow our gut instinct without seeing any other options. Many qualities, not all of which are attractive, are stored in our unconscious and might show up as detrimental or obstructive intuitions. Therefore, you shouldn't always follow your instincts just because you've learned to do so. Anger, for instance, can lead to both helpful and extremely harmful intuitions, such as the desire to distance oneself or alienate others. Additionally, you can gain some amazing insights from the caregiver archetype. However, you must also put other people's wants and feelings ahead of your own. Therefore, it is not wise to blindly follow your gut. Giving in to a gut instinct that proves to be ineffective is one of the most difficult things you can do. When an intuition appears to be helpful but there is a better option, that presents another risk. It is crucial to use reason while evaluating the validity of an instinct. What does your intuition tell you, and does it make sense? What are the advantages and disadvantages of following your instincts? Additionally, there may be circumstances in which the most sensible course of action doesn't seem to be the best one. In such scenario, reconsider. What makes it appear wrong? What about this choice causes you to pause? Try using alternative methods to access this unconscious emotion if you are unable to think about it. Try mind mapping, journaling, painting, or meditation, to mention a few techniques. You might find the answer in an unexpected place, but don't make a decision until you know why you're making it. For instance, let's say you get a job offer that seems fantastic and pays more, but it doesn't seem right. After some introspection, you might learn why. Maybe you once heard something really negative about the business. Maybe the offer letter has some suspiciously vague language. Understanding that both could be indicators of your future predicament at work can help you steer clear of a terrible situation entirely. Perhaps your negative feelings are simply anxiousness and uneasiness, stemming from your uncertainty about your suitability for the position. In this situation, you ought to make an effort to overcome this emotion and make your anxiety a challenge for yourself. Accept the position and observe your progress. The case of alternatives comes next. Maybe you make a decision despite your intuition telling you to choose something that also makes sense. On the other hand, Jung discourages this. It may not be the greatest choice, even if it appears to be. It's possible that your intuition hasn't concentrated on new, alternative choices. Therefore, whenever you're going to make a choice, give yourself some time to consider it. Once more, create a mental map, create artwork, practice meditation, and observe what emerges. Are there unanticipated repercussions to take into account? Are there any avenues that haven't been investigated? You can only decide on the right course of action with confidence after carefully considering every option. You won't know if your chosen solution is the best one until you've considered every possibility. Additionally, someone who consistently follows their gut without giving themselves any time is most often unprepared and impatient. Two abilities that are crucial to reaching your objectives. Although spontaneity can be wonderful, it can also be highly harmful. Your intuitions are truly empowered by your thoughts, since you may take control of them by analyzing them rather than the other way around. Regardless of how beneficial and enlightening an intuition may be, you must first assess its value. Put differently, don't let your intuition prevent you from holding out for the harvest. We concluded that knowing our shadow and archetypes is essential for a more conscious and powerful intuition. If you learned something new today, like this video and share it. I appreciate you seeing, and I hope to see you in the next film.